What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. It is time for the 8th season, and it's the video that everyone loves every year, the Premier League table predictions. And I've done it a little bit different this year. I think it's the way I did it in my first Premier League table prediction video. Instead of just coming up from 1st to 20, I went through the season and predicted every scoreline, and it spat out a table for me. I'm really excited for you guys to see it. There's a lot of draws in there because it can be difficult to separate teams from the beginning of the season in week 25 because we don't know the form, the signings even. But real quick, just like last year, I am doing a $100 giveaway to one of the patrons over on Patreon like we did last season. So if you want to be entered into the draw for a chance to win $100, then just click the top link and join the Patreon if you haven't already, because although this is the first video of the season, the games have still been happening. So over on Patreon, we've been predicting games, and here's the record so far. All right, ignore the 404 winners. That's for last season and this season. But so far this season, since about a month ago, we've posted 94 ACCAs and won 12. You might think that's an abysmal ratio, but the ACCAs are high odds, as you can see here. So you don't need to win that many. It's like correct scores. If you correctly predict 1 out of 5 correct scores, like in fact I've done here, you make profit. So that's why the ratio is there. But we're at nearly 50 units in profit already. So if you stuck a tenner on every ACCA that I've posted on the Patreon so far, you would have £500 profit. This was an absolute belter. Flamengo win to 0, Bodo Glimt win to 0, Elfsberg Malmo and both teams score. As you can see, very rogue teams. We have the MLS 4 winners fourfold because club football like Premier League and Bundesliga, La Liga, they haven't started yet. So I've been making do with what we've got. We've got like teams in Scandinavia really a lot, but here are the winning accumulators anyway. You can pause if you want to have a look. And these are the tipped correct scores we've had as well. So like I said, if you want to get involved, you can join the Patreon using the link in the description. And for the first month, when it gets to the first international break in September, I will be giving one of you lucky patrons $100 like I did last year as a little thank you for joining. And if there is ever a time to join the Patreon, it is, I would say, between August and January, because that's when there's the most football. And I'm also hopefully going to be doing an exclusive Patreon video, essentially giving my best tips and predictions for all leagues over each weekend. So obviously the channel will have La Liga, Bundesliga, Serie A and Premier League and Champions League and stuff like that. And I'll do an extra bonus video combining tips from everywhere for those that support the channel on Patreon. So be sure to go and check that out. I know it's a long intro, but there's a lot of admin because I haven't seen you in like a month since the Club World Cup. And congratulations to Chelsea, by the way. Now I'm going to caveat this with everyone is going to get their Premier League table completely wrong. You know, you could put all 20 teams somewhere and you're going to get it wrong. So don't go in the comments and tell me how stupid I am. Your Premier League predictions are going to be wrong. Mine are going to be wrong. But let's just see how close we can get. And to be fair, last season, I correctly predicted every relegated team in the exact right position and the top 4 as well. So most people didn't even have the likes of Chelsea in the top 4. And a lot of people didn't actually have the 3 correct relegated teams either in the right order. So we did well last year. Let's get started this year. Now, like I said, I went a different way about this to get these positions. I went with game-by-game results. So it actually spat out a little bit of a surprise. So we'll start with the relegated teams we have here. 20th place, I've got Burnley. 19th place, I've got Wolves. And 18th place, I've got Sunderland. Now, if I didn't do it game by game, result by result, I would possibly maybe have Brentford in there instead of Wolves, but the proof is in the pudding. I cannot change the predictions, so this is what we've got. You've got goals scored, goal difference, 1 drawn loss, everything with this method of predictions. So we've got Burnley at the bottom. Are Burnley the worst team in the Premier League? Potentially, you could say maybe Sunderland, but I just think there'll be something similar to kind of Ipswich. I think Sunderland could have a couple of good results. I think I might have even put a 1-0 win to Sunderland against Man United in and amongst there, because obviously, if you're thinking with your head for every week, you get the likes of like Liverpool, Man City and Arsenal that essentially go invincible in the season. So you have to kind of throw in a few rogue results there. And I think if I remember correctly, Sunderland beating Man United was one of them. But Burnley, 6 wins. Wolves, only 5 wins. It's one of those where I have to just trust the table that has been essentially spat out based on my predictions. Do I agree with every position? Maybe not, but it's the most accurate chance I've got. So that's what we've got. Burnley in 20th, Wolves in 19th, and Sunderland in 18th. Now, let's take a little look at the bottom half of the table where it gets very close. Very, very, very close. As you can see, I've got 3 points between 11th and 16th. And obviously, I'm predicting each and every game. So if I just swapped, say, let's say I had a prediction where Crystal Palace beat Leeds. If I swapped the scoreline around, Leeds go up to 12th on 43, Everton moving up on goal difference, and Palace drop down to 16th. It's so close, but safe from relegation, but not very close to 16th in the grand scheme of things. I do have Brentford in 17th. We've got Leeds coming up from the Championship in 16th. I do think they would be everyone's favourite to stay up if a team that's been promoted is going to stay up. I've got Bournemouth in 15th position. I think they have just lost quite a lot of their good players, and I'm not so sure that they're going to have as good a season as they did last season. They should have enough to stay up. They've got that magic 40 points, 41 in this case, but I think they might struggle a little bit this year. I still think they could get some good results at home, beat teams in and around them, do enough, but I don't think they're going to be pushing for top half this season. After that, we have West Ham. Now, before I altered a few of the head-to-head predictions and everything, West Ham were way down in 17th, but I didn't agree with that. So I think I went a bit heavy on the losses for West Ham. I went back in, changed a couple of results here and there, and just bumped West Ham up a little bit in the league, but not by much. I mean, only by a couple of points away from 16th place. But West Ham, underwhelming, I think. They've got a really good squad, but I just don't think they're going to really push up. And similarly, I've got Fulham and Everton, 42 and 43 points, 13th and 12th. I think Everton could be higher, Fulham could be higher, but I think they're just going to fall short. And then we have Crystal Palace above with an identical record to Everton, finishing above them on goals scored. And I think if there is going to be a way to separate the two teams, I definitely think Palace are going to score more goals than Everton. But as you can see, Everton only conceding 37. That's a goal a game. I mean, I've got a lot of, 0-0s, 1-1s, 1-0s with Everton. Whether they're winning or losing, I don't see many of them being super high scoring. So yeah, I've got Everton in 12th. Funnily enough, Crystal Palace in 11th. But now let's move to the top half of the table. As always, be sure to drop a like if you're enjoying this. Subscribe so you don't miss any football content, and leave your Premier League predictions down in the comments below. As you can see, I've got a big gulf between the top 8 and the lower teams. There's 14 points between Nottingham Forest in 9th and Aston Villa in 8th. And there's only 6 points between Nottingham Forest in 9th and Leeds in 16th. And you could go one further, 11 points between 9th and 17th, and a greater gap between 9th and 8th. I do think the top 8, which is the traditional big 6, along with Aston Villa and Newcastle, I do think there will be that gap. It will be top 8, mid-table mediocrity, relegation scrap. And obviously, as far as this table's concerned, again, we have a 4-horse race for relegation. I'm leaving Leeds, Bournemouth, West Ham out of it, and including Sunderland, Brentford, Wolves and Burnley. Then you've got all the teams. Anyone from 9th to 16th, I think, on this list could finish in any one of those positions. It's really exciting. And another thing that's really difficult when doing Premier League predictions is to not make your table look super similar to the year before. It's really hard not to do that because that's the most recent data you've got to go off of. So it's quite likely that the tables will look similar. But saying that, as you can see, I've gone from Tottenham Hotspur in 6th place from 17th. A massive jump. But I do think Thomas Frank is a brilliant signing for a manager. And I do think Tottenham can have a much better season this time round. They've got Champions League football as well. And I just think I think they'll have a better season. It can't be worse than last year. And got the silverware, but Thomas Frank is a step in the right direction, I think. And I think Man United are actually going to have a much better season as well. I've got them on 62 points ahead of Villa on 60, Tottenham on 65. But Brighton in 10th. I mean, as you can see, they've got a minus 12 goal difference. So I think Brighton, they can win some games, but they have a tendency to ship a lot of goals sometimes. So as you can see, I've got them conceding more goals than even the likes of Sunderland, who are going down, and Burnley, who are going down. So I think Brighton could have some very, very high-scoring games. But Forest, 46 points. I think they'll be there or thereabouts. I don't think they're going to get European football or anything like that. I think they're going to settle in here. I guess they might be playing the Europa League if Palace get relegated to the Conference League. I'm not quite sure how that's going down. But I've got Forest in 9th, Brighton in 10th, Villa in 8th, and I do think the traditional big six / now 7, I guess, with Newcastle will be up there. Man United in 7th, Tottenham in 6th. In 5th place, I have Newcastle United. When I initially plugged in the results, Newcastle were actually up in 3rd. But I changed a couple around. Really, it was the teams below them that I felt should be above them. But I've got Newcastle in 5th. And this is very difficult because at the time of recording and as it stands, we still don't know the Newcastle striker, Isak, Liverpool, Sesko, United situation. As it stands at the time of recording, Newcastle and Manchester United have put bids in for Benjamin Sesko. And he seems to have accepted both at this point, and he'll probably end up going to Man United. But the thing is, we also don't have Isak leaving Newcastle for Liverpool yet. So it's very difficult to say what's going to happen here. I think less so the impact Isak would have on Liverpool in terms of raising their game. I think more in terms of the impact of Isak leaving on Newcastle and lowering their game is what needs to be focused on here. So it's very difficult. By the time we're watching this at the end of the season, it might be that Isak stayed at Newcastle and scored 40 goals. He might have gone to Liverpool and flopped. But as it stands, I've got Newcastle in 5th. And I am predicting for the 3rd year in a row that I've predicted it. I was ahead of the curve on people kind of backing the Chelsea project. I've got Chelsea in 4th, 1 point ahead of Newcastle. Above them, I've got Manchester City in 3rd on 79 points. Now, this is where things get interesting. I'm an Arsenal fan, as you guys know, and I do think Liverpool are, of course, the favourites to win the league. But I plugged in the results, I plugged in the head-to-heads, the scorelines, I factored in upsets. I've got Man City, Arsenal both losing 3 games. I've got Liverpool losing 4 games. So my spat-out table that I've just decided to go with in my head, I was like, should I just change it? Because I'm not quite sure. I've never predicted Arsenal to win the league in one of these Premier League predictions, but the table doesn't lie. Here it is. That's the full table. By 1 point, if this happens, I have Arsenal winning the league. A draw that they got where Liverpool lost. Arsenal on 81 points, Liverpool on 80 points, and Man City on 79. Now, the logical person in me says, look, who are you kidding? I even said in a recent video on my other channel that I could see Arsenal finishing 3rd. So logically, just say Arsenal lose a game they won, put them on 78 points, put me out of my misery, put Liverpool 1, Man City 2, genuinely, and Arsenal 3rd, because I think the most common prediction this season, there's a lot of seasons that have, similar predictions. I think the most common one will be Arsenal finishing 2nd behind Liverpool, because that is what we most recently had. That's where both teams look like they're going to finish. Liverpool finished 1st, they've really strengthened. Arsenal finished 2nd, they've really strengthened. So who's going to catch them? I could see Man City hitting their stride and finishing above Arsenal. I could obviously see Liverpool winning the league, but a bit of hopium right now. I'm going to stick my neck out and say that Arsenal finally, after more than 20 years, win the Premier League ahead of Liverpool. Now, again, if you had, I don't even know if I can say it because of YouTube guidelines. Let's tone it down a bit. A water pistol to my head. You get what I'm saying now. And they were like, you have to get who's going to win the league right, or I'm going to shoot the water pistol. I would say Liverpool win the league. But because this is a Premier League prediction video on the full 90, it's not that deep, and it would look really cool if I was right. I'll just go with this and say that for the first time, Arsenal will win the league. The difficult thing here that I see is Arsenal winning the league by a point ahead of Liverpool and 2 points ahead of Man City. That's a 1-game swing. As you can see, Arsenal's goal difference is not as good as Liverpool and City, and I stand by that. I think Liverpool and Man City will have better goal difference than Arsenal. Man City putting away 94 goals here, so they would need to win on outright points, and it's just the bottle factor. Liverpool and Man City have won the Premier League recently. Arsenal have not. So to say that they can do it by the skin of their teeth by a point, having worse goal difference, is unlikely. But I'm going to stick with it. So those are my Premier League table predictions that I'm going to go with. The reason I'm happy to stick with it, to be honest, is because any one prediction, like I said at the start of the video, is going to be as wrong as the next. So maybe Brentford go down. Maybe Leeds go down. Maybe Bournemouth go down. Perhaps Newcastle finish 9th. Maybe Crystal Palace finish 8th. It's so wonderful, but that is why we love football. So that is going to be my final Premier League table prediction. Once again, let me know your predictions down in the comments below. Check out the Patreon for exclusive members, tips and accumulators and all that other good stuff. Drop a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video very soon.